who's our analyst who takes care of the mining stocks for us as one of his areas of expertise. And we look forward to spending time with him. Sean's unfortunately still incapacitated in hospital. My friend is still a bit sick, but he's on the mend, and he should be back with us in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, I'm going to do a live technical analysis for you once Monolith concludes, and then we'll put his spreadsheet or his slideshow up if you want to refer to certain pages. But please pop your questions into the chat, and Manus, we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Oro. Welcome everyone to today's call on Sibanye Stillwater. For today, we'll quickly have a look at the macro environment, more or less the PGM price performance versus gold prices. It's quite interesting to see that, what's going on there. The PGM miners' relative performance, we'll just touch on the PGM sector price drivers. And then Sibanye recommendation previously was a hold, it's now a sell recommendation. But the IV is unchanged, and for the main reason that Sibanye has moved quite hard in an upwards position with the price. So it's not the sell due to the change in IV, but more or less the change in the share price that's moved beyond or further away from the intrinsic value. Sibanye released their interim financial 2025 trading statement. They are releasing the results later today. I think it's around 12, so just after this call. So we'll just look at the trading statement data that's released and what the expectations are. And then if we have a look at the 3E PGM price drivers or prices at the moment, you'll note that platinum has moved up quite a bit. It peaked just below that $1,500 per ounce mark and then moved back to $1,300 per ounce, and then it's currently sitting there since July. It's not moved much. When we look at palladium, it's done a bit of the opposite. Peaked to $1,300 per ounce mark, moved downwards steadily, but it is in a downward move at the moment. It'll be interesting to see for these two which one is the one that's moves currently in the correct price. Platinum is still very much high in demand, and supply is lower than demand at the moment, so that price is holding up quite strong. Where SA is a palladium producer as well, but Russia as well a large palladium producer, so we do believe that the market there is still filled from that side, on the demand side. So Russia is supplying to demand palladium. If we have a look at rhodium, it's moved up quite strong again from July after moving at the beginning of the year, March. It's moved strong back to that $7,500 per ounce mark and kind of sitting there now. We'll see how that plays out. It is a strong move if you consider it's moved from just below that $5,000 per ounce mark. We'll see how that plays out as well. If we have a look at the current relative commodity performance, so rhodium, platinum, this is a 12-month chart, so 1-year chart. If you look at that, it's not much talked about, but it outperformed gold over the last 12 months. So that's quite interesting. I'm pretty sure if we have a look at it from April or so, it's going to look even more significant. But this is a 12-month chart. You'll see that palladium is caught up with gold at some point in July and then moved back down. Iron ore is also showing some stability, and then copper is also slightly up for the last 12 months. If we have a look at our larger platinum producers, Sibanye, Implats, and Valterra, you'll note that Implats and Sibanye over the last 12 months has moved very much together after Sibanye has underperformed quite a bit up until about Feb. Sibanye has got a balance sheet that's still very much in debt, and where Implats is the opposite. It's got a cash balance, a net cash balance. And Valterra is used to be more a cash balance. It's now just moved into a net debt balance. And it's quite interesting that underperformance was completely reversed with the increase in platinum and palladium prices. Although platinum prices have stayed fairly stable and palladium prices moved down slightly, It's interesting to note that the share prices both declined more or less in line with palladium prices. It could point to a over purchase in anticipation of much higher PGM prices, and now it's moving down slightly. We'll see how this plays out in the future. It's more volatile, those two stocks, compared to Valterra. You can see that blue line. It's not that volatile. It's moving up with the PGM prices and moving down with them as well, but not so significantly. You also see Valterra is underperforming platinum and rhodium, although Valterra, if you look at production, it's about 55% platinum, palladium about 37%. So it's interesting that it's underperforming platinum and rhodium. If we just quickly have a look here at Sibanye-Stillwater's last 5 years performance relative to the benchmark, it is underperforming quite a bit. It should look much better if you look very short term, maybe a year ago, last 12 months. But this is a longer term chart. It is underperforming quite a bit, although it moves upwards very strongly. And then your chart on the right is a drawdown chart from the previous peaks. You can see there it reversed some of the drawdown, but it's still very much in a large drawdown compared to its previous peaks. We quickly just stand still at the most recent interim trading statements for the half year financial 2025 data. The HEPS is expected to be between 180 and 200 cents, which is an increase of about 19-fold, and then mostly that's driven by higher gold prices, so which improves gold profits for Sibanye. Earnings per share is still a loss, although it's improved by it's expected to improve between 55 and 60% to around 120 to 133 cents per share. Then your earnings per share loss is mainly due to the US PGM sector. That's still underperforming quite a bit. We'll touch on that shortly in the strategic development section. And also asset impairments in the Calibre project, and that's mainly due to impairments resulting from low lithium prices and tax law changes. The other impacts was a fair value loss on gold hedges, so gold prices moving beyond their hedged prices. That creates a loss in that section, and then your production, issues which raised inventories, and because of that high inventory levels, that means there were lower sales during the period. So expect sales to either be fairly stable or decline when those results are released later today. Then in terms of strategic developments, your PGM SA and US sector production is consistent year on year, so fairly slightly lower but fairly unchanged. And then your underground production remains steady, but surface production was down quite a bit, 30%, and that's due to rainfall. So SA gold production down 13% for the period. It is expected to recover in the second half of the year, but it's interesting to see that you've got that kind of a broad or decline in production when you have gold prices that you need to realize. So hopefully that recovers into the second half of the year, so they can lock in these strong gold prices. Just as mentioned, the US PGM sector, it is in line with guidance, but recycling feed is down 10%, and your 3E PGM ounces sold was down 14%. So it's interesting to see that points to less, if you want, car or PGM metal recycling in that sectors. So that's people holding on more to their cars and other recyclables that would increase those feeds and would allow for higher selling of those metals. If we have a look at the valuation of Sibanye, if we look at the chart on the right, you'll find that this is a 10-year chart, EV/EBITDA, forward EV/EBITDA. The average is around 3.88, with the low end touching around the 2 area, and then on the high end it breaches 5, but it never holds for a proper extended period above that 5 level. So it touches 5 and then moves back again, or moves just above 5 and then moves back again. So for that reason, you've got your base of 3.66, a bear of 2, and a bull case of 5, with a probability of a bear case of 30. base at 55 and bull at 50. Now, the bull is at 15 simply because it never holds properly above that 5 level. And the bear case of 30 is higher because you can make the same argument. But the probability of a 30 then, it's simply due to the locking in of the current prices. If prices were to move down, Sibanye is not going to be better off because they've not been able so far to realize these PGM prices to pay down some of their debt. So the balance sheet, we'll see now when they release data, but the balance sheet is still very much in debt, and that needs to change if it wants to be in line with Implat or Valterra, for instance, which has got a lot more liquid balance sheet. The weighted intrinsic value, as mentioned, remains at 27, just simply because there's no new data to have a look at, but also we believe that's a fair value. And also, it's got a downside of around 24% to the share price when these slides were done. And that's for that reason, it's moved out of a 10% bracket upwards in terms of the share price is higher. So now it becomes a sell simply because it's moved so far away from the intrinsic value. That brings me to an end of my side of the presentation. I'm going to stop sharing and hand over to Saro to take you through the technical analysis.
Yeah, thanks, Manus. All right, let's see. Let's do that. Right, everybody, can you see my screen? Manus?
Sorry, yes, Saro, I can. Sorry.
Oh, okay, thanks, man. Thanks. Oh, yeah, thanks, Alex. Right, I see Alex gave me a thumbs up there as well. All right, so let's hop into Sibanye quickly. I'm going to expand the chart here. Let's look at it very long term. I mean, this run up on the right-hand side here, I can draw a line for you quickly. This part here, certainly very bullish, right? You can see that there. It's fairly bullish, the stock, but it's sort of slowing down slightly. It's still above that line. It hasn't broken negative, but it's pretty close to what I would think is a support level. I'll make it bigger for you like that. Let's just switch this off. Let's go to a 5-year view. On the 5-year view, you can see now on my right-hand side, that little tick up is here on the right-hand side. But for the 5 years, if you look at it, it's pretty much come down over the 5 years. So I'm going to stick a line in there, sort of just give you a broad idea of what the trend was, right? And then I wanted to show you that it is very close to support levels around this 35 level. And I'm going to do it like this because we always say that previous supports become resistances. Now, if you look at it here on the left-hand side where my cursor is, you'll see there was a support there on the line. It went up, came back, found support again, touching the line. Went up, came back, had a bit of support, briefly broke through it, but then went back up above that line again. Even this dip down here retraced to that line before the trend went down for the longer period. And now we've just seen this thing touch this long-term line, and this is more than 5 years, at the top there at 44 bucks. So I kind of agree with Manus with his analogy that this is a sell. It could go back up to 40, 45 maybe, but I think it's a sell because it's touched that line again. That is now a strong resistance line. It comes from a very long time ago. This brief bull run seems to be over, but we would have to wait for this line here to break before it actually goes down. Now, the immediate downside target, Manus has got an intrinsic target at 30 bucks. I don't see any levels around 30 bucks. Let me put the crosshairs on for you, and we'll go to 30 bucks. And you'll see that I don't really have anything going backwards. It might be that we have around this area, we have a bit of a pivot, but nothing else to support this 30 buck level.
27, Saro.
Yeah, okay. So on 27, yes, I would kind of agree with that. There's a 20 there, and it's touched there where my cursor is now. If I move to the right, staying on the same level more or less, you've got those 2 points here which was resistance, and it's broken through it. So yeah, I would say around $27 you can buy Sibanye again, but for the moment definitely looking like it's going to break this trend line and come slightly lower. So there you have it. The MACD is showing that it's overbought. I know Sean always talks about the MACD. Personally, I don't use that much, but I like trend lines and pivot points when looking technically at a stock. I saw Alex had a question in the chat around the PE ratio. And Alex, I want to show you quickly on the trading system where you get that. So if you got your stock on your watch list and you want to look up details about the company, you just go to these three little dots here. If you click on the dots, it'll ask you remove it from your list, buy, sell, create alert, or more. If you hover over more and you go into the profile, right, it'll show you that the PE ratio calculated on Sibanye at the moment is 54 times. So 54 times, PE ratio basically says that you should, at current earnings rates, you would have to be invested in the company for 54 years in order to make your capital back from earnings. So that's what a PE ratio basically tells you. But that's how you get it, Alex. So I hope that helps you, mate. Let's pop into the chat and see if there are any other questions. All right. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take the share again. I saw something this morning, looking at it quickly. And before we get to those questions, all right, I've touched on Alex's question about the PE ratio. Alex says, how does the demand for palladium look these days? Marnus, if you want to talk to it whilst I look up the charts again on the left-hand side.
Sure. Palladium is more or less in line with supply. Palladium is a difficult one because if you get a Russia selling to China, where it's been under sanctions, it's the same as the oil's been directly sold to India. It will probably not be sold at a let's call it a fair market price, where you'd see it trading at, which is the fair market price at that point in time, because that's where people believe it should be trading, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be trading there. What would take place then, because Russia's got not an open market to sell to multiple countries, it will probably be selling it at a discount. So why would a country like China be buying it from SA if they can buy it or fulfill some of that demand directly from Russia at a discount? So it's quite difficult to measure these things. They try to. There's assumptions that it's not being sold. It's definitely being Russia palladium is definitely being sold into China, and I do think that for that reason it's quite difficult to measure how well it's doing or whether there's a high demand or high supply. But if you have a look at the World Platinum Investment Council, WPIC, they do these demand and supply forecasts and also give it historically, and according to them it's more or less in line. There's not an oversupply or over demand at the moment for palladium. Platinum is a different story. It's undersupplied or over demand more than supply at the moment. Yeah, that's the reason the price is holding up so well. Sorry, you need to unmute.
Okay, that always helps. Thanks, Marnus. Okay. We had a chat about Harmony a couple of weeks ago. We said that it was slightly expensive. And we think that it could pull back to around, I think at that stage we said around 237 or so. It's trading at 6.9% down today, trading at 238. And I wanted to show you something on the chart here, which is interesting to me. If I look at the long-term chart, obviously the territory that we're in is similar to Sibanye. We're in an area after a very long, prolonged period of nothing happening. We broke up and went into a sort of a bullish phase, and now we've come back a little bit. But the 1 year chart, let me show you this here, and then I'll show you this in relation to where we're trading at the moment. We are currently at a major support on Harmony, right? That 237 level that we call being at the pivot levels, we're right there. This thing, if this holds, right, and it's got every chance of holding, we could see a bit of a bounce back. The only concern is these candles to the right-hand side are fairly large red ones. So these mining stocks are all taking a bit of a hit over the last couple of days. Keep an eye on Harmony. If this level holds around 237, might be worth a bite in the very short term. But I just wanted to show you how the support levels play out over a long period of time.
They also released this morning.
Oh, did they release this morning?
Yeah, they released. I haven't had a chance to look yet, but they released the full financial 2025 results this morning.
Okay. Judging by the candlestick, it wasn't what the market expected. The market's not too happy, down 7%. But you know, sometimes the market overreacts. And from a purely technical point of view, I mean, it's right back at the levels that we predicted, and it's right back at the levels we thought if you wanted to take another nibble at it. It could be an overreaction, could continue lower and break down. The same thing that we're expecting on Sibanye, as I showed you earlier. If that red line goes, then I think we could be looking at it coming down a little bit lower also. So be careful in these stocks. It looks like they could come slightly lower. All right, I'm going to hop back into the Prezzo now. Let's stop sharing that screen. Stop all the technical nonsense. Right? It's still Alex's questions, the last one. How does the demand for palladium look these days? Any other questions, guys? Look, Manus, the Sibanye is a good company, right? In my opinion. Flippin', they've diversified across all of the mining sector. I mean, they got that nickel facility in France. They got Keliber lithium in Finland. They're involved in the US. They're a massive company. They give 18,000 jobs in the US and about 85,000 jobs in South Africa. So this is a big player. I don't think they're just going to come off again back to the levels around 20 Rand and so on. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see what kind of numbers they come out with this afternoon and see in relation to what Harmony produced, you know, what they come up with and then compared to the other platinum players. So I expect Sibanye to come down a little bit, but around the $30 level, I'd be very tempted to buy again.
Guys, also have a bit of exposure. Just remember that they do produce gold, but and that's supporting their bottom line, or helping it. Let's call it helping it rather, because it's still negative. But
yeah,
their cost of gold production is significantly higher than a pure gold player like Gold Fields or Harmony. Harmony and Gold Fields is around between $1,600 and $1,700 an ounce, where Sibanye is between $2,200 and $2,300 an ounce. So the margin on or the profitability on that type of mining is quite expensive. Well, gold prices are up, so they should benefit still from it, but it is a more expensive operations if you look at that. Also, if they say that gold production is down by 13%, that affects the all-in sustaining cost, the AISC, more, because that's a measure of cost divided by ounces, because it's measured per ounce. So we'll see. That might be a negative outlook in that terms, but if they say in second half the gold production should stabilize or improve, that number should change by the end of the year again.
I mean, I read that the expansion into chrome with the Merafe venture, with Glencore's Merafe venture, contributed 42% of in H1 2024. You know, so the fact that they so much diversified gives me a bit of comfort. You know, it's not just the one metal that's in play here. Okay, let's see. There's no other questions in the chat here. Okay, any other stocks you want to ask us questions about? Seeing that Marnus has covered Sibanye completely. Let's throw it open to the floor, see if we get tricky questions. I've got a couple of the other analysts on here. Maybe we can answer them. Nothing? Or are you all slow typers like me? You can switch your mic on and ask a question outright if you wish. Still nothing. Oh my goodness. It's close to Christmas.
I have a question.
What does Aspen look like? There we go, Richard. Thanks. Okay, do you want me to look at it from a technical point of view and tell you what I see there? I'm going to do that for you quickly. Let's go have a look and see where Aspen is today. I think Aspen was one of the stocks that was up today. Yeah, it was. It's up 1%. It's trading around 107.98. Can everybody see my screen? Right,
Yes,
let's take the 1 year chart. Okay, that's a bit of a mess with that long spike down there. Yeah, it's sort of finding its feet around here. These green bars are encouraging here, Richard. I would say definitely not looking that terrible, considering these green bars here had a bit of a pullback, and now it's made a higher high than that pivot there. And today it's continued. As long as this candle holds to the right-hand side and it closes around 106, between 106 and 107, I would say the bulls have control of this now. Looks like it may bounce a little bit. That's just my quick take by looking at it in the crosshairs. It's not an extensive analysis. I hope that helps, Richard. All right. Anything else, guys? Views on TGA. You know anything about TGA, Marnus? Because I don't.
Unfortunately not, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. No problem. Let's look at it from a technical point of view then, right? Okay, so there we've got the MACD on the zero line, so it's not overbought, it's not oversold. The last bit of price action did suggest a bit of a bullish move. It's sort of around that resistance level there. It hasn't broken through that to go up. It's got that pivot that's not too far away at 105. So I would say this is still sideways, and I'll draw it in for you quickly and show you why I say that. Let's do that, and let's pop another one down here. There we go, those two red lines. If you have a look at those two red lines, then we're actually in a sideways trend. Let's make it a little bit longer. See what I mean? We went up, touched the red line at the top at 104. Certainly a very strong resistance there. Coming down to the 83 Rand levels, back up halfway, back up all the way to the top, and almost all the way to the bottom again, and sort of in the middle at the moment. So I wouldn't do anything in TGA, Richard. Okay, anything else, guys? Nothing. Right. Thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate you spending time with us. You're always welcome. Oh, the Kuru share price rose by 50% yet. The company will be delisted. How does that work? Okay. Alex, so what Yanni Maton Foundation has said is they are proposing to buy Kuro. So they're going to buy out all the minorities at around $13, I think it was. That's why the share price ran so much, because it was almost 60% higher than the flipping 1 month average. So that's why it spiked so much yesterday. They're going to take this thing and make it a privately owned stock again. It's not going to be a listed stock. It's going to be removed from the exchange. I don't know what the exact plans. I didn't read the articles. I just heard the news and saw the move. I don't know what their plans are for Kuro, but obviously they see opportunity there. Yeah, minority buyout. They want to take this off the exchange, delist it, and run it as a private company. That's why that spike. Good question. Right. Anything else, guys? If there's nothing. Oh, I see it's 12 o'clock already. Gosh, Marnus, thank you very much for spending time with us. Thank you for highlighting the platinum producers for us. Sibanye, as we've said, looks like a bit of a sell, about $5-6 downside possible. We look forward to the results later, and then we'll probably get confirmation or maybe change our minds. But for the moment, it does look on a technical basis like a sell. Marnus's intrinsic value calculation shows it as a sell, and yeah, we'll have a look at that as the day progresses. As far as the other stocks are concerned, I'm not sure what we're talking about next week.
Mr. Price, or are we switching over to the new calendar? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So we'll do Mr. Price next week. That'll be an interesting one. We haven't spoken about them for quite some time. We look forward to hosting you next week again. So thanks very much for joining us. Have a fantastic Thursday, guys, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Dankie mannes. Cheers.